So night 2 kicked off with the pre-show, and it had a number 1 contenders tag team match to the NXT tag team titles. And this match was between Breezango and the relatively new team of Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. And given that Breezango are former NXT tag team champions, I figured Dane and Maverick would win this match and become the number 1 contenders. I also do kind of like this team of Dane and Maverick just because the two are so different. Like, one is a hulking beast of a man and the other is puny. I always feel like those teams just work because the two complement each other so well. So it'll be interesting to see if they can become tag team champions. Then we had the NXT Cruiserweight Championship Unification Ladder match to determine the undisputed champion. And this match was high-flying, it was exciting, but in the end, Santos Escobar would climb the ladder and retrieve both titles, making him the undisputed NXT Cruiserweight Champion. To be honest, I thought Jordan Devlin would be crowned champion just because he was the original champion, but I'm okay with this, and I like how they used Escobar's son as a way to make his championship win feel more impactful. And yeah, you could argue that it's a little bit manipulative to bring Escobar's son into the picture, but I'm okay with it. Then we had the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match between the champions Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon versus Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. I kind of figured that if Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell were winning the titles tonight, then that meant that Johnny would probably lose his NXT North American title later in the night. But since I figured that Johnny Gargano would probably beat Bronson Reed, I figured that Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell were probably not winning the titles, and I was right. It was still a good match though, but I'm honestly surprised that Candice LeRae has never won a title yet in NXT. Like, I figured she would have won at least one title by this point, but she hasn't. So I'm hoping any women's title can come her way soon because I really think she deserves it. And speaking of Johnny Gargano, next we had the NXT North American Championship match. And this was really a match of power against technical ability. And during the match, Johnny Gargano injured Bronson Reed's ribs, which eventually paved the way for Johnny Gargano to hit 2 one final beats to retain the title. Then we had the NXT champion Finn Balor versus Killer Kross for the NXT Championship. And I think we all knew this was going to be Kross's return to championship status. I mentioned it before, but Finn Balor was honestly just a placeholder champion until Kross came back. And I was right. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was a great NXT champion and he put on some banger matches, but I think we all knew eventually Killer Kross would come back and win the NXT title again. So I'm honestly excited to see what Killer Kross is going to do as NXT champion this time around. And then finally, we had the unsanctioned match between the former Undisputed Era members Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. And I would say this is probably the match that I was looking forward to the most out of this entire NXT TakeOver event. And boy howdy did it deliver. I mean, if you saw what these two did in Ring of Honor, you would know how good these two are, especially when they face each other. But before I get to the match, one thing I have to say first is that I was not digging the new themes of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. They just sound so generic, and I really like the Undisputed Era theme. I mean, I wish, if anything, we could have brought back Cole's old theme song, I've Got Something For You, but it's kind of hard to imagine WWE using copyrighted music nowadays, so I knew it was a far cry. Now, a lot of people were comparing this match to the Lights Out match a few weeks ago on AEW Dynamite with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa for obvious reasons, and I would say this match, while not necessarily as bloody and brutal as that match was, it was still pretty good. The story was pretty good leading up to it, these two just have phenomenal in-ring chemistry, and it all made for a pretty good main event. But in the end, Kyle O'Reilly gets his revenge on Adam Cole and picked up the win. Honestly, I really hope this isn't the last time these two go head-to-head, and I don't think it will be, because I'm really hoping for some kind of reenactment of the Ring of Honor World Championship feud they had, and I think they could do just as well with the NXT Championship. And yeah, while I pegged Cole to win this match, I forgot that it was WrestleMania weekend, and usually when it comes to an event like WrestleMania, we usually do get storybook endings. Well, most of the time. So overall, this was a pretty good night too, and a pretty great NXT TakeOver event, and I'm interested to see what they'll do on Tuesday nights now that they're no longer going head-to-head with AEW on Wednesdays.